Jessica Geddes, and I'm in your online speech class 191 from Ageechee Technical College. Here's my informal outline. On one side, a note card. And yes, sir, I am sitting down. I was involved in an incident where I now have 100 to 150 stitches in my right leg, and I am forbidden to put any pressure on it or stand on it for any amount of time for a couple days. So I'm going to do the best I can from this chair. We hear all the time, isn't that ironic? And although you may agree that yes, it is in fact ironic, the situation may not be ironic at all. People have always struggled with what irony truly means or how to use it correctly. Many times one would consider ironic may just be bad luck or inconvenience to an individual or a situation. According to the final irony by The Guardian, irony, which is an inconsistent of what is really being said or done and what is actually going on, is split into two different parts. We have our verbal irony and our situational irony. Starting with our verbal irony, it involves the individual saying something other than what really is meant, but in a way that the person listening or whoever they're talking to knows the true meaning of what they're saying. An example of this would be your friend gets a new job and they come home and of course you ask, well, what'd you think? How'd you like it? And the friend goes, it was amazing, I loved it. But when they're really saying how horrible it really was and how much they don't like their job. It is quite ironic for one to just say how much they love their job if in fact they truly did not. Since sarcasm is mostly assumed rather than irony, it is most individuals use the term ironic in a more situational form. So I will move on to situational form, which is, to put simply, is something that happens opposite to what your or their expectation may be. Many times what is going on or what will happen, according to David Wardoff, is your all-American boy. He is a straight-A student. He is, top of the class, president, GPA 4.0, and ends up turning out to be the biggest junkie, just a, prisoner for his whole life, nothing, does nothing with his life and just throws it all away to, be that druggie on the street. Situational irony does not always have to be a negative outcome. It could be positive. Another situational example could be Romeo and Juliet. That's probably the most common irony and that's situational that people know and can relate to and most understand. You have Juliet, who is forbidden to be with Romeo, so she fakes her death. And Romeo doesn't know this, and he kills himself to be with her in another life, and turns out that she wasn't dead, and so then it's just, that's another negative outcome, but in the long run a positive outcome for that movie. But verbal irony is probably the most difficult, like we said before, because it is most often just assumed to be sarcasm versus an actual ironic statement. So verbal or situational irony, if all goes back to what is being said or done and what is actually intended to be said or done. But we will always have that question, is it irony or is it sarcasm? Is it coincidence or is it just bad luck? That these things are being said or the things are being taken place, this will continue from now until forever because, sarcasm versus bad luck, irony, you have that song, I have to mention that song, Isn't Ironic by, that famous singer. That whole song was nothing but bad luck, but in the end, it being nothing but all bad luck about being ironic. Alanis Morissette intended that song to be backwards of what it truly meant, to show that the whole song altogether was ironic because she's singing about ironic, but it was mostly bad luck. So today and forever we will continue to be, whether that is ironic or if it's just inconvenience. Thank you for listening to me, and making do with my situation, and I hope you enjoyed my speech, and I look forward to sending you another one very shortly.